Hey everyone, welcome to the Cantrill Show. You are here, my friend, because you are a woman who is falling back in love with herself. You believe that doing something for yourself is important, but having the potential to change is not the same as actually changing. So, our goal with this show is to introduce you to women who will help you get unstuck. So please, help me in welcoming the self-love matchmaker, Kat Cantrill.
Hello, my love. Welcome to the show. I am your host and self-love matchmaker, Kat Cantrill. I am thrilled and honored to have you here with me today. Welcome to episode 12. I am so excited. I am bringing to you my very first on-air coaching call. I get the incredible privilege of talking to Karissa. Karissa is this extremely intelligent, driven, beautiful entrepreneur who is a single mom of 2 children, who struggles with finding time for herself, struggles to the point where she doesn't even know really what her interests are anymore. And I'm sure a lot of you ladies can relate, where you devote nothing but your time and attention to your careers, to your family, to your significant others, that at the end of the day, when you lay down at night, you say to yourself, really, what am I interested in? What are the things that set me on fire? And I think as driven women who really want to make a difference in the world, we go big or go home. So it's hard for us to scale back and start with the beginning, with the foundations of self-love. So in my call with Karissa, you're going to hear about her journey, about how she has given up on journaling, how we help her reintroduce that into her life. We talk about the beauties of dating yourself and how setting boundaries at your work is even a form of self-love. So ladies, please help me welcome Karissa to the show. Well, hello, Karissa. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you. I'm excited too.
I'm excited to have you as our official first on-air coaching call. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what brings you here to this particular call today?
Okay, well, my name is Karissa Littlejohn. I am a mother of 2. I am a business owner, so I own an international luxury retreat company. How deep do you want me to go?
As deep as you want to.
Yes. So, what brought me here to want to speak with you is I'm just really struggling with balancing being a business owner, being a mom, and then having a true sense of self, having time for myself without feeling guilty, not letting my business overtake everything in my life, and really just figuring out who I am outside of being a mom and being a business owner. I think that the past, almost 8 years, I've been building and growing my business. And now, in 2020, when I had time to slow down, I was kind of like, okay, what do I do now that I can't run my business? And so just wanted to talk through that with you and get your input and go from there.
Absolutely. So let's talk about 2020. So we'll just start there. So the world did slow down. And from what you've filled out on your form before our call and what you've said, you're an extremely busy woman. So 2020 forced you to slow down. Mm-hmm. What kind of self-reflection, what were you thinking as you were moving through 2020, as far as, since you weren't able to do all of the things that you normally do for your career, when you were slowing down, what was your thought process? What type of self-care or self-love did you start to put into your life at that point?
I don't know that I put a whole lot of self-care and self-love into my myself,
Okay.
to be 100% honest with you. I spent the majority of 2020 like worrying, like, am I going to have my business when it's done, being in the travel industry. And then when I finally just forced myself to just pause and understand that I can't control anything that's going on, I just had to sit back and think about like, what do I even like to do? Like I hadn't I hadn't watched TV. I binged watched Netflix. I slept a lot, and I don't think that it hit me until things started opening back up again, that like I don't even like, what do I like to do for fun? Like I hadn't been doing anything for fun. I shared with you that I just took this trip to Mexico. I used to love traveling by myself. I hadn't taken a solo trip in probably 2 or 3 years. So just really getting back to trying to figure out what I enjoy, what I like. Now that things are starting to open back up, I'm like, I don't know. And I noticed it when, I've been on these dating sites and the conversation always comes up like, what do you like to do? And I found myself not really having a true answer for that. Like, I don't know. Like, I used to go bowling. I like Top Golf. You're just trying to like force myself. I like going out to eat. But
Right.
when I was sitting with myself, I'm like, what do I like to do? I know I used to like to read. I used to do crafting. I don't know. I just feel at this point, I don't know. None of that really interests me at this point. And I don't know if that's because I don't like doing that anymore or because I feel like it's frivolous spending of time. Because that's another thing that I struggle with. It's like, okay, if I'm spending this time over here having all this fun and doing all this stuff, there's things that need to be done with the business. So just that inner battle of trying to figure out what I want, trying to figure out how much of my time I should be devoting to having fun and how much I should be devoting to running a business.
So, okay, so let me ask you that. We'll just start there. How much time do you think that you deserve to spend on you?
I think that's the issue. I think
Yes.
I know I deserve. You listen to all these things like, okay, spend 1 hour a day meditating and
Right.
doing all these
Right.
things, and I'm like, okay, let me try that. So
Right.
the past few mornings I won't even say the past few mornings, probably a few mornings out of the past few weeks, I'm like, okay, let me do this yoga in the morning and let me write in my 5-minute journal that I got, which is actually pretty cool.
Agreed.
And I've been doing that.
Good.
And so I don't know.
So the answer is different for every woman, right? The key is that you're realizing first it's the awareness. So you're already having the awareness that yes, I do need to spend time on myself. And that is such a huge accomplishment, Karissa, truly. Like, especially a woman who is busy as you are with your career and being a single mom, realizing that you do need to step back and spend time on you. And I think that the time is different for every woman. I don't think that there's a right answer. I think really the true question is how much time, as an entrepreneur myself, I can completely relate to this. How much time do you need to work on your business? When we figure that out first, how much time do you really need to work on your business? Then when you take the next step going, okay, I'm committing this amount of time to my business. The other amount of time is going to be dedicated to finding out what those interests are, because most women don't know what they are anymore because what you said, like life gets in the way. We become parents. We are so focused on our careers and our families that we lost ourselves. We completely lose ourselves. So we don't allow that time to rediscover and to explore what are you interested in? Because you're not allowing that time in your life. So how much time do you think that you need to dedicate to your business? Truly, honestly.
To be honest, and this is what I've been realizing, if I buckle down and really, really block out time for my business, I don't need to spend as much as I think I do. And, just thinking about that now, I just with emails, even before we got on here, I'm like, oh, let me hurry up and respond to all these emails before I hop on here. Instead of being like, okay, the emails can wait. The email came through 3 minutes ago. Do you
Right.
have to respond to it right now?
Right.
And just breaking that thought pattern that everything in my business is urgent, I guess is what I'm struggling with. Because you do want to have the business that has amazing customer service, and they're so responsive, and they fixed all the issues immediately. And that would be great if I had a huge customer service team.
Oh, sure.
But it's just a team of 3. So I really
So
need to.
go ahead.
No, I think I really need to sit down and figure out how much time I actually do need to spend on my business. And I don't know.
And yes, I not only that, but I think a part, especially women entrepreneurs who have children, your time is extremely limited, and it's up to us. And this goes with everybody in our life, the people that we go on dates with, our family, our coworkers, our customers. We have to set those boundaries. Your customer, Karissa, does not expect to have an email back within 5 minutes. So this is a part of self-love. This is you setting a boundary of understanding that your time is valuable. So do you have an out of office on your email saying, I'll get back to you within this certain amount of time, so they have an expectation of when to hear back from you?
I do not. But for instance, saying what?
Thank you so much for your email. Yeah, it says here on my office hours, this is when I'm in the office. I will get back to your email within the next, and put a block of time. So my out of office says 24 to 48 hours. So people don't expect to hear back from me within that certain amount of time. And the reason why I've created that buffer for me is that is a place of self-love, meaning I am honoring my time, and I'm also creating the expectation from the customer, and also I'm creating that boundary that I am not there at their beck and call. So that will also, I think, if you were to do something like that, to where you had an out of office, that would allow you some breathing room. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I like that. I guess I would have to set my hours, because you said I'm in the office from this time to this time. That would require me to have office hours. But no, I actually like that a lot. I like that a lot. So there's not that, because you say that people don't expect a response, but I feel like they do. I don't think so.
And well, I'll put it to you this way. If people expect an automatic response, do you really want those type of people to be your customers?
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
So you want, part of setting boundaries and paying attention to yourself and loving yourself is setting the expectation of how other people are going to treat you. So we have to teach people by how we treat ourselves of how they're going to treat us. And this goes with dating. This goes with everything in life. So when we honor and we love ourselves, and we make ourselves a priority by setting those boundaries, the people that are going to be attracted to you and the people that are going to want to do business with you are going to be the same type of people. And those are the people that are actually going to honor and respect your time. And ultimately, those are the perfect customers and the people that you want in your life.
That's fair.
She's just
I'm
nodding her head.
literally, as soon as I get off here, I'm setting up. My mind
So
is like, that
yes.
it's such a good point. And,
So, and that also, when you set office hours, guess what? Then you're creating more hours in the day for you to start nurturing you, meaning start exploring what your interests are. So, was there anything that you love to do?
not really. I didn't.
That's okay. You've probably have never taken the time to date you. And I know that you do take care of yourself, you take yourself on vacations, but are you really spending time with you, with Karissa, not the business owner, not the mother, but the woman? Have you spent that type of time and attention on yourself to figure out what are your interests, and what other opportunities or experiences are out there for you to see and have in your life? So when we don't allow ourselves, it's what we call white space. So when we don't allow ourselves space to think and to be and to just daydream, and we're just in this constant hamster wheel of just, every day it's the same thing over and over again, and we're not allowing ourselves, any type of space to breathe, then it's really easy to get stuck in this, just to get stuck in the idea that your job is who you are, that your career is who you are. And it's really hard to separate the two because you haven't allowed yourself to do that. So if you had, let's just daydream for just a moment. Is there anything out there that you've always been interested in doing that you've made excuses for, that you've never been able to find time for?
No, I just feel like travel has always been my thing, but it's not reasonable to travel all the time. Like, I have to be at home sometimes, and when I'm at home, that's when it's kind of like, oh, what do I do with myself?
Right. So what is it that you love about travel?
Just getting away, exploring different places, trying different food, meeting different people.
So what is it about getting away that you love so much? Because that's the very first thing that you mentioned. So you love travel because you get to get away. Why the need to always get away?
There's not really anything here for me.
Have you taken the opportunity to explore what could be possibly around you versus leaving?
Yeah.
Other than dating.
Well, I was about to say that. I'm like, yeah, I date sometimes, but I guess not really. And it's funny. My best friend is always talking about, because she's not from here. She moved here a few years ago, and she's like, oh, well, why don't we get out and do this and get out? I'm like, oh, no, thank you. Not. And yeah, I haven't really explored a lot of things. My dad and I used to go to plays, so that was fun. Yeah, I don't know.
From my perspective, when I'm just like you, I love to travel, very much so. But for me, the time of 2020 really taught me to create my own paradise here, because we weren't really given a choice for a long period of time, right? So you had to create your own getaway. And there are so many experiences and people within your own community that you haven't given a chance, because in your mind, you're thinking to yourself, well, in order for me to have an experience, I must travel to another location or another destination or someplace exotic in order to have those experiences, when truly it's all about your mindset and how you approach your current, where you're at currently, to be able to, if you were to switch that mindset and understand that you can create these experiences within your own backyard. it changes your perspective, and allowing yourself to have experiences with your friends locally will start to open your mind of really what you're interested in. So we know, okay, so travel, it's because you want to experience new people, you want to experience new foods. What about, do you think that these are types of experiences that you could create within your own community for yourself?
Yeah, definitely trying new food. So Houston's food scene is pretty amazing. And everything is open here. So yeah, I think I could,
And I think
but there's
go
only
ahead.
so many there's only so many restaurants though.
Oh no, totally, totally. But I think that giving yourself an opportunity to explore more, to take that mindset of travel, because we know that you're extremely interested in that. And it's because of the things that you mentioned, to be able to offer that type of opportunity for your life. Instead of saying, I'm only going to reserve these types of opportunities to when I travel, you're denying yourself of those, like you said yourself, your girlfriend's like, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that. And you're like, no. So you're already denying yourself those types of opportunities because in your head, you're like, no, I'm only going to have those when I travel. I can't have those when I'm here. So instead, being open to dating yourself now, that you don't have to date yourself while you are traveling, that you can date yourself in your own community and where you're at here now, and not deny yourself opportunities with friends or being able to explore more where you're at. Because if we're constantly saying no to things that we really could say yes to, we don't know ultimately where that type of opportunity or possibility is going to lead us. Especially a woman in your position who doesn't really know her interests. If you're just going to just completely cut yourself off and be like, okay, the only time that I'm ever really going to discover or experience things with myself is when I'm not at home. Do you see how like that limits you automatically, where you're saying to yourself, I can't have these types of opportunities unless I'm not home? So one of the things that I do with my clients is I help them create these dates for themselves locally, that they don't have to travel anywhere, that I help them create these little dating packages for them and them alone. Have you ever taken just yourself out on the town?
I've gone out to eat by myself. Yeah.
Okay. Have you like really taken yourself on, like, so what I'm thinking, so an example is one of my clients she decided to take herself out for Valentine's Day. So she got her hair and makeup done. She went and had a photo shoot, took herself to a really nice dinner, like really created this incredible experience for herself. So you are a woman who's constantly giving to other women, right? That's part of that's your business. You're creating these mind-blowing experiences for these women. I know that you work your butt off. I know you do. So, and I know that you do take yourself on vacations, but what if you were to create your own experience like you do for these women in where you live now? What would happen if you did that? If you take yourself a night on the town, like a complete experience from start to finish on your own?
I think I would probably like that.
I think you would.
I think I would. And throw in a little spa time.
Yes. Yes. To completely pamper yourself instead of having to put these expectations that you're saying to yourself, oh, I can only have these expectations, or I can only have these experiences when I travel. That is doing something outside of the norm. It's not something that you normally do. So in order for us to explore more about ourselves, we have to consistently put ourselves outside of the box. And if you're just limiting the only time that you're putting yourself outside of the box is when you travel and you're not creating those experiences for you now, then I feel like you're denying yourself happiness. You're denying yourself opportunities. You're denying yourself possible connections that you can have that will make your life more fulfilling. So are there like really nice spas and restaurants and things to do?
I am sure there's a nice spa somewhere in Houston.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because for New Year's, I did a staycation, but I ended up bringing my boyfriend with me. And yeah, and that's what it was. It was crazy after I was thinking about it. My sister was like, why didn't you just go by yourself? You said you were going to do a staycation for yourself. And then I don't know. I just feel like I'm going to be bored whenever I like, go by myself.
So, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So, why do you say that? What do you mean you're going to be bored?
I don't know. I'm like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? So I'm just supposed to sit here and then I find myself, even when I was on vacation, find myself like, oh, let me just scroll on social media and let me,
Sure.
instead of just truly
Being
enjoying
present.
and exactly like just, but what does being present for yourself look like? Just sitting there or,
Yeah. Sitting, reflection. I think being present is enjoying the moment. I think that, so I just did an episode about self sabotage that just got released. And one of the ways that we sabotage our lives is being restless, constantly busy, just filling our calendar and just constantly being in a state of chaos in a way where we never can sit down with ourselves. And usually it's because we are afraid. We don't want to sit alone in our own thoughts. We don't want to reflect. We don't want to be able to experience any kind of pain. So we're like constantly seeking out the next thing, the next trip, the next experience, right? So so you do a 5-minute journal. Have you ever journaled? Like I think the 5-minute journal is excellent, but have you ever reflected truly?
I have. I used to journal quite a bit. Lately, I have not. Probably within the last 3 to 4 years now.
Oh, why is that?
It just seems overwhelming. Like when I sit down,
Oh,
I'm like, what am I even journaling about right now? Because there's always so many things in my head at any given time that just even the act of putting it down onto paper is just like, oh, this is so exhausting, you know?
so let's talk about that a little bit more. So what's so exhausting about it? Just being within your own thoughts, or why why is that so overwhelming?
I don't know, just even knowing where to begin. Like I was telling you with the intake form, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
all over the place. Like I have this here and this here and this here. And like, I guess, and as you're saying that, I'm like, I just need to get it out of my head. That's why I probably feel,
Yes.
that's probably
Yes.
why I feel so all over the place because it's just, Kat, I was overwhelmed filling out a style intake form. So I hired this stylist because I'm like, I never know what to wear. And she sends me this form, and I like almost broke down into tears because I'm like, I don't know what colors I like to wear. And I don't, and it was just so, oh my gosh, I'm like tearing up.
Oh, now you're going to make
But
me cry.
it's just everything just seems so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I guess it is because I just haven't sat with myself. Like, you don't even know what color you like to wear. Or
Right. Right.
and so, like, when I told her, I was like, hey, May, I'm just overwhelmed. I don't want to do this. She's like, don't worry about it. I'm going to call you and we'll go through it. But yeah, just everything just seems overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, even stuff that's supposed to be simple.
Right. And I think you actually hit the nail on the head. It's because you haven't sat with yourself. You probably have, you said it, 3 to 4 years worth of thoughts that you haven't probably acknowledged or been able to sit down and really speak to yourself, because that's what journaling is. It's talking to yourself on paper. Or you don't even have to write on paper. I even tell my clients that you can do a voice memo, you can do a video, you could do like a daily vlog to yourself of just what's going on in your life and helping you process what's going on. And when we are, and I know because I've been there, and I think it's a constant struggle, especially for women entrepreneurs, where we are constantly filling our schedule up with all kinds of things, and we're in a state of worrying about our business and making sure it succeeds, and then making sure that our children are taken care of, making sure that we're being the role models for the other women in our communities, right? We have this persona, and we will purposely fill all of this out so that we don't sit with ourselves, so that we don't address really what's going on within ourselves, because it is a state of vulnerability, even to ourselves. It's a state of insecurity, because especially you, Karissa, where you are this leader of so many women, it's hard. You want to be an example. So you want to be solid. You want to be strong. You want to be a woman that these other women look up to. So when you sit with your thoughts and feelings, and if it's something that's not positive, of course you don't want to sit with that. You're just like, nope, I'm good. I got this. I'm going to put on this mask, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to do these things in my life, and everything's going to be okay. And filling up, with dating and with trips and all of these things that you're doing. Yes. It makes perfect sense on why you haven't sat down with yourself in the last 3 or 4 years. So what would happen if you started? What would happen if you were to and you started, like at the beginning of this call, you were talking about how you were doing yoga, and you were kind of doing these other types of self-care, self-love, and you've done the 5-minute journal, but I do feel with you there is some more journaling that probably needs to happen. So have you done any type of that, or is it just that whole thing has been overwhelming that you haven't been able to?
Just that has been overwhelming. Like, I go out and I'll buy my pretty new journal, because
yes.
I'd love to have a pretty journal. If I'm
yes.
going to journal, it needs to be in something cute. And literally every time I start, I will probably fill up half a page, and I'm like, okay, this is just too much.
Is it too much because of what's coming out on paper? Or is it too much because what's too much about it?
I don't know. It just seems like, what am I even talking about? And then sometimes it feels like, okay, you're talking about you're journaling about the same thing you journaled about forever ago. And
what's wrong with that?
I feel like I should not be. You know how you just reach this point where you're like, why is this still an issue? Like, why is this still something that is coming up?
Most likely because it's something that hasn't been resolved yet. And if this is something that is a reoccurring theme, and whether it be years or months or days, it's just reminding you that this is something that you need to address in your life. And it's your journal. That's the thing, is that I try to tell women, like, this is your journal. I think that women are afraid to be completely vulnerable in their journals, afraid to completely express themselves. And it's yours and yours alone. So you can write whatever it is. There's no agenda. Right? I think having prompts is super important. I think that having an outline is important, but I also do feel that just writing whatever you want in your journal is the best way to journal. So if you're repeating yourself and saying the same things that you have, most likely it's because those are things that you do need to address. And these are things that do have to come out on paper. And these are things that you do need to, that your inner woman wants you to pay attention to. So you have a pretty new journal. What happens if you were just and we kind of talked about timing. So what happens if you would just set a timer and just like drop your pen at that timer? No matter, because you're talking about constantly being overwhelmed. And I think a lot of women, just with everything, especially women who are in your position, there's, like you said, like even styling, like that whole thought, because you're taking care of so many things in your life, that women just want things to be taken care of for them. And so the thought of, you are in a state of overwhelm. So instead of instead of anchoring the journaling to overwhelm, is there a way that you can come up with a system, not only with your out of office, not only with setting your office hours, which those two things are absolutely important, but coming up with a journal system to where you set a timer. And that's it. You know, when that timer goes off, you're done. That will prevent you so that you can start journaling without the sense of overwhelm. Do you think that that's a possibility for you?
Yeah.
Are you open to journaling again?
I am. Starting small.
Yeah, and I think that that's part of it too, right? I think it's, a lot of women think it's all in or all out. There's no in between. And the way that I teach women to journal is just with one sentence. That's it. Just start with one, and it could be any sentence. It could be an affirmation. It can be your to-do list. It could be how you're thinking or feeling that day. It could be anything, and just starting with one sentence and leaving it and giving yourself the grace and the understanding that this is going to be a new chapter, that you're going to create a new relationship with the journal and not have, I think that when we have moments of negative, when we have negative feelings or thoughts towards things, that we always will connect it to that. And we need to reestablish those relationships, especially with our inner woman, because she's there. And no matter how much we try to run away from her, she just wants you to pay attention to her. And that's what journaling, it's all journaling is just paying attention to her.
No, I love that. Just one sentence.
That's it. And what'll happen is that one sentence, you'll feel good in that one sentence, right? So you'll start to really develop this relationship again. And then the one sentence will start to go to two. And then the two will go to three. And then next thing you know, you'll be journaling for, like me, for like 15 minutes. And you're like, okay, I really do have work to do today. I gotta go. I have things to do. Because I think there's a lot of answers that are inside of you, Karissa. And as women, we're constantly trying to seek these answers all outside and with things and experiences. And we just keep running away from ourselves, when truly we just have to sit. Like you said, I'm afraid to be with myself because I don't want to be bored. Right? And that's telling me you don't have a connection with her. There's no connection, because the more we create this connection with her, we will look forward to sitting with ourselves. We will look forward to having that time alone. For myself, I carve out 45 minutes every morning to be with myself, to take my time to meditate, to journal, to explore, to do research, or whatever it is that's going to fill my soul for the day. And that is blocked off in my calendar, Karissa. It's important. Like, my calendar will go off and I'll go, oh, yep. Okay. Yep. It's time for me. Like, it is that important to carve out that amount of time for yourself every day. So if you were to carve out every day where, all I have to do is write one sentence today, and that's it. Do you think you could do that?
No, that feels so good. Like, that's what I got emotional, but it was just like,
yeah,
you could just breathe a sigh of release. Like, okay, that's doable. Like,
good.
I mean, because even just writing for 5 minutes seems overwhelming for me, but like, I can do one sentence. I can do one sentence. That's for sure.
I think you could do one sentence too. So if you were to write one sentence, what would it be? So I'm just going to help you right now. What do you think it would be?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think I would say to myself that small steps are enough. Because that's what I take out of the one sentence. I think that I'm a person, I just go after everything with full force, and everything has to be
Absolutely, you
a
do.
whole theatrical event.
Yes.
When it's like, don't, you're doing too much. Like, just
Right.
stop making it a, yeah, it's, yeah, that small steps are enough.
And I think that that's a small step, is creating that out of office. That's also a small step. Creating office hours. That might be a bigger step, but I think that that's a step that you can also do. So when we start, the thing about these particular items is like, I do think that reflection is really important. But I do think when we do actionable items in our life that show us that we're important, that show us that we're a priority, that show us that, yes, I do want to have a relationship with myself, then it gets easier. Just like you said, it becomes overwhelming, especially in societies like, love yourself, self-care and self-love is super important, but just like, you want to do it right. Like in your head, you're like, I just want to do this right. How do I do this right? No one's telling me how to do this right. And I think that by giving you permission of being like, you have to start somewhere. And once you start setting these particular actionable items in your life, then those actionable items will get bigger. And you'll be able to find more and more time and discover more and more about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
To where you'll be able to know what color to be able to wear, right?
It was so crazy. I'm like, why is this so overwhelming?
Yeah.
I didn't fill it out.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't fill it out. She had to call me. Like, I literally was like, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't fill this out. So she just called me. She's like, we can just go over it. And most of the things I'm like, I don't know. What store do I like to shop? I don't know. I haven't been shopping and I have no idea. Price range. I don't know. How much does stuff cost? Like all those different things. I'm like, I don't know. But
So what do you think? So what are your takeaways? What are your actionable items today? What are you going to do?
my one sentence a day.
Okay,
I'm going
good.
to do that.
Good.
I am going to, and I have been telling myself for the past, well, prior to COVID, that I need to just set up my office hours and just turn it off. So this is totally confirmation because I've been thinking that. So
Good.
setting that out of office auto responder, I should say, up, and just saying these are the hours and sticking to them, and not, I can't say that I won't respond after hours, but I think that's a baby step, a small step.
Yes. Small step. Exactly. Maybe possibly creating an experience for yourself, taking yourself on a staycation.
Yes, that's another thing. It's so crazy too, because I told myself I was going to get a 2-hour massage.
Okay.
And I haven't taken the time to set it up. I went to go look. I'm like, oh, okay, they have availability this time. I'm like, oh, I don't know what I have to do for work then. So let me check and see what my schedule is looking like for work, and I'll go back, and I just never go back and actually book it. Okay.
So I think it's time to do that. Because you want your business to work. I mean, that's one of the, well, they say that, right? That's like one of the glorious things about being an entrepreneur is setting, and I'm using quotes, setting your own hours, right? And have your business work around your schedule. So if the massage is important, like, again, switching that mindset to where you're the priority, right? So if you're not, and I know we've heard this a million times, if you're not filling your own cup, it's really hard to fill the cups of others, right? So paying attention to you, making sure that you're taking care of you first, and the more you nourish and take care of you, then everything else does fall into place. So make that a priority. You should be getting a massage every month, Karissa.
I know. This is what I've been telling myself.
Yes.
I'm going to go book that massage membership and
good. Yeah.
and do it.
So there's, again, a baby step. You don't have to book an entire evening or an entire weekend for yourself. Take a baby step, and that's a huge baby step, is to book that massage. So I'm so proud of you. This is an extremely somewhat of a, this is a vulnerable space. This is being able to express really what's going on in your heart. And I think that by sharing what you're going through, Karissa, I'm sure a lot of women can see a lot of their stories in yours. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think that's it. I have my three my three steps.
You do. Yes, yes. Well, I know that when it comes to self-love, it does take sometimes a push of another to be able to tell you the importance of why these three actionable items are so important to implement into your life, because you have to start somewhere. And I believe that doing things for your personal life and for your professional life, because we can practice self-love in our professional life, and that's with setting boundaries with customers and having our customers understand expectations. And I think that it's helpful to have the nudge of somebody else being like, yes, this is important. What are you waiting for? Go do it. So
Yes, this was so helpful.
good. I'm so glad.
So
I'm
helpful.
so glad. Well, thank you, Karissa.
No, thank you, Kat.
Thank you for being here for my first on-air coaching, and I'm so incredibly honored and proud of you. And do me a favor, please. Will you email me when you do these things? Because I do want to hold you accountable.
I will.
Okay. Shoot me an email. Let me know when you're able to get these things done, so that I can give you a gigantic digital squeeze. Hug of appreciation, because you deserve it.
Yes, I will do that. I'm gonna do it today.
Okay, good. Awesome. Well, yeah, of course you are. I know. I should know this about you. You're like, yep. Once you make up your mind, that's it. I'm on it.
Done. I'll have it done.
That's right. No. I'll be emailing you in. Yes. Oh, well, thank you, Karissa. Thank you for being so vulnerable and for opening up. It means so much to me. And thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
For women.
All right. Thank you. A huge thank you to Karissa for being open and so vulnerable with me today. I cannot thank her enough. It takes courage, ladies, to be able to really share what's on your heart. And I know that a lot of you can see yourselves in Karissa's story. And let Karissa, this be a reminder to all of us that you don't have to go big or go home. That sometimes the biggest steps that you can make in your life are the littlest ones. So thank you again, Karissa, for allowing me this incredible opportunity to coach you. And ladies, if you're listening to this and you know that you are deserving of more, but don't know where to begin, that maybe possibly in the chaos of life that you cannot see what those baby steps are for you, I'm here for you. I would love to have the honor of working with you. You can find all of my services over at Cantrill.com and book your call with me today, and let's have your own personal self-love matchmaking session. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, and I cannot wait to see you all next week. All right. Thanks for being here. Bye.